I don't have any sort of patriotism in my heart
for
for America, but just in general.
I know he's rage baiting us, but it worked. Consider me rage baited. Speaking of people who are doing absolutely amazing, we got to check in with the left-wing socialist star and streamer, Hasan Piker, whose trip to China continues and is getting even more unhinged, if that's possible. We already covered his incident with the Chinese police where they stopped and demanded to see his friend's phone to see if he had any memes mocking their dear chairman Mao, who may have murdered millions, but you can't have memes making fun of him. Hasan, of course, wasn't making fun of him. He was honoring him and glorifying him because that's his beliefs. And then he says, oh, it's fine. Yeah, of course, they just have to make sure white people are not mocking dear leader. Yeah, that makes sense. That's not authoritarian or dystopian at all. Well, even more crazy takes and clips are coming out from Hasan's trip. We're going to take a look at them, including this first one, which should really, really render Hasan radioactive in any sane democratic politics. But unfortunately, we are not currently in such a sane politics. Let's listen to this.
What makes it interesting for me at least is like seeing so many people from all around the country literally travel here just to see this.
That part is insane. Look how many.
Like I just don't like I don't have any sort of patriotism in my heart for America, but just in general. I'm not like a very, I care about people.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like it's hard to comprehend.
I mean, this clip is not surprising, seeing as this is the guy who said America deserved 9/11. Yeah, we know you're not patriotic. We know you don't love this country, Hasan Piker. What's disturbing, though, is the fact that millions of young people look to this young guy, this streamer, as some sort of political inspiration or thought leader or influencer when he openly does not love our country or appreciate the freedoms that it has given them. That's alarming because it's not just him, but it's all of them. All those young people are susceptible to that message and not being influenced, for lack of a better word, to see the correct position and truth that America is actually pretty darn special and amazing, deeply flawed, yes, and constantly moving closer towards its true vision and potential, but founded on a set of ideas that are radical in human history about freedom and liberty, and that Hasan, of all people, should understand and should value, but doesn't. I mean, he was literally, like I said, just stopped by the Chinese police to see if he has an offensive meme, but he thinks it's all fine and dandy because he openly admits he doesn't care about America. And in a normal political discourse, this would render him persona non grata in mainstream politics, but you can count on the fact that it won't, because standards are basically non-existent these days. And I think this guy will continue to be in photo ops with prominent Democratic stars and progressive icons like AOC and Zohran Mamdani and Bernie Sanders, and invited to the DNC and all that, because this stuff is within the tent for them now. This openly anti-American radicalism is within the Democratic Party tent at this point, pretty clearly so. Now, the next clip we have of Hasan, he takes his propaganda for the Chinese regime to a honestly astonishing new level, and we need to talk about it. Let's roll this clip.
My mind, in my conscience, I have already become Chinese. Okay? We were already white Chinese in this chat. I've already become full Chinese. Okay? Let me just start by saying that. It's sick. Okay? Like, you have abundant style consumption paired up with a centrally controlled economy, an economic system that has yielded tremendous development. You have 1950s Soviet era building blocks next to the Gucci store. If there was ever a country that represented the synthesis, the things that I enjoy so much personally, if ever such a country existed, I do not know.
So I know he's rage baiting us, but it worked. consider me rage baited, because watching this makes me a little crazy. Like, it makes me want to pull out my hair. Some of the memes are funny, though. I did see this one meme on Twitter. I'll put on screen. Hasan traveling around China, pretending to not see the repression and genocide. It really is astonishing. Oh, I'm an influencer. I'm going to go on a little PR trip to this authoritarian country and tell everyone how amazing it is. And look, everyone has nice things, and it's so nice in these urban enclaves I'm visiting. What's so funny about that is that, one, he mentions China's rapid economic development, the China miracle, which is a very real phenomenon, but actually was achieved largely through pro-market reforms and loosening of the government's control of the economy, though they still retain, obviously, a large role. It's less than they did, and that loosening of the government's grip on the markets is partly what fueled the massive decrease in poverty. But what he's actually seeing, and you'd think a socialist streamer, a progressive like him, would be all up in arms about this, is the extreme inequality in China. In these urban areas, people do have wealth and advanced living standards and technology, but then there are the poor masses who live extremely low standard of living in much of rural China. That's the kind of inequality that he's supposed to be so against as an economic progressive. But he's like, oh, shiny trains. Oh, wow. Big buildings, cool technology. This is awesome here. It's actually that level. And it's just kind of astonishing. And to say nothing of just how gross it is to go to a country like this that is so repressive of its own citizens and committing such egregious human rights violations and then not talk about them at all. Now, I don't actually expect him to, while he is in China, live stream about how terrible the things they're doing to the Uyghurs are, because that would be unsafe for him to do, honestly. But you don't have to praise it and say it's such a wonderful place when all these terrible things are going on. Like, I'll just run through some things. He talks about how amazing the economy is and the abundance they've created. Well, it's so amazing that the government has to actually punish people who criticize their economy. So this is all from Human Rights Watch. Previously tolerated topics have become off limits. With the Chinese economy faltering, the government has prohibited discussions of its economic policies and penalized those critical of them. In September, a top Chinese Academy of Social Sciences economist went missing after he disparaged President Xi's economic policies in a private WeChat group. Oh, yeah. Tell us more about the abundance that's so amazing. They have to outlaw criticism of their economic policies, buddy. Like, just all of this is left totally overlooked in his glowing coverage. And then don't get me started on the vicious repression of freedom of religion and minorities. Progressives are supposed to care about minorities, champion minorities. All that goes out the window the minute he sees some high-speed rail, I guess. Freedom of religion in China, again from Human Rights Watch. The Chinese government allows people to practice only 5 officially recognized religions in approved premises and maintains control over personnel appointments, publications, finances, and seminary applications. Police routinely arrest, detain, and harass leaders and members of various quote-unquote illegal religious groups, including those Catholic and Protestant congregations or house churches that refuse to join official churches and disrupt their peaceful activities. And we haven't even got to the worst part that I promise you Hasan will not inform his viewers about, which is the Chinese regime's vicious repression of Uyghur Muslims, which you would actually think that Hasan, being a anti-Islamophobia warrior, would care about, but alas, he doesn't not, because again, shiny trains and Communist Party. Here's more from Human Rights Watch. The Chinese government has committed crimes against humanity against Uyghurs and other Turkic Muslims as part of its abusive Strike Hard campaign against violent terrorism. Violence in Xinjiang include mass arbitrary detention, torture, mass surveillance, forced labor, cultural and religious persecution, and family separation. An estimated 500,000 people have been sentenced to long prison sentences without due process during the Strike Hard campaign, and many remain imprisoned. I mean, this stuff is really bleak. It's really bad. And he'll just overlook it all because he loves China, because look at all this shiny stuff. And how based is it that the police do meme inspections? Look, to some extent, I think this is trolling. It's edgelording, but it also is emblematic. of an anti-Western bias that he so clearly has, where he does not love or appreciate America and has a soft spot in his heart for authoritarian regimes and systems, despite their egregious abuses. And to me, it just makes a mockery out of everything he says he stands for, from human rights to anti-Islamophobia to even things like inequality that he's supposed to care about, and reveals him to be, once again, the hypocritical and toxic influence on the next generation that we already knew he was. That's my take, at least, but you guys will have to let me know what you think in the comments. Do make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you aren't yet. Hit the like button while you're at it.